Cyclocross can be an expensive proposition with multiple bikes needed to get to the races, mechanics, different tire and wheel combinations, but does it have to cost you an arm and a leg? We're on a journey to find out if we can build a worthy cyclocross bike for $300. I have a good friend down in town, JD, who comes from a family of auctioneers, and he happens to also love cyclocross. He has a bunch of stuff, and I asked him if he'd pull some of it out. We'd go down there and hopefully get a deal and get some stuff on the cheap. That's not gonna work. Deezy, how are you?
Doing well. What's going on, buddy?
Nice to see you.
Air hug.
So, you pulled out a couple of things for us?
Yeah, you told me you were coming over, so I pulled out some of the potential candidates. So let's see what we got.
Yeah. Oh man, this looks good. Talk to me about what we got, and more importantly, talk to me also about the budget. Talk to me about what you're thinking on all this stuff.
You said you were on a budget, so
a very tight budget. But
I was just recently at the college abandoned property auction, so I picked up some bikes that had been previously loved and needs a little bit of attention, but perfectly serviceable.
Okay.
I got a steel Fuji touring bike, which comes with cantilevers, steel frame, got the tire clearance. 700C wheels. This is probably your cyclo-crossiest of the bikes.
Okay.
We've got the touring wheels that it came with, which are surprisingly robust. They're a little on the weighty side, but fit some different tires, and you're good to go. Why don't you look these over, tell me what you think, and I'll see if I can find either some other wheels for the GT, maybe a seat for the Fuji.
Okay.
See what I got.
All right, thank you. This is gonna be tough. I mean, I only really want to spend $200, but the cyclocross Specialized frame does seem like a good, that would be the best suited, but I think that the way that I'm gonna get out of here on the budget is gonna be to go with this Fuji. I mean, that's what my heart's telling me, because the Specialized is gonna be a lot. That's gonna be proprietary headset bearings and bottom bracket things, and it's more modern, but it's going to cost a lot more money. So I'm thinking that this Fuji is going to be the way to go.
All right, I found some saddles.
Okay, first let's talk turkey on the Fuji. I think this is the one that I'm going to need to take out of here. The other ones for me, it's going to be more than what I have budgeted for this. So tell me what you're thinking for the Fuji, what you want to get out of it.
So which wheels? With the wheels that came with it?
I think so, yeah. Just because those other ones, I know those look nice. They're 11 speed, they're updated.
Yeah. So, Fuji frame with those wheels, complete, say 325. That work for you?
Dude, I was thinking more like 150. I know we're pretty far apart on that.
Yeah. I think. Maybe
hang on before you say anything else. I'm also, my budget's low. We talked about this, but I'm also worried about the shifters. I think the brakes look like they're gonna work fine, but I'm definitely worried about the shifters. Like you said, we're gonna do it. We have to do a saddle. I'm just worried, like if I switch this chain, cassette, like all that stuff. There's a lot. My budget's small.
Yep. All right. Well, we can work with it. So. For the shifters, I do have a set old school bar and shifters.
This is New England style.
So, very right out of Paul Curley's basement.
Oh my goodness.
Plug those in the end of the bars. Just clip your cables off here, and you still use these as brake levers.
Okay.
And then you just use those as shifters.
Whoa.
So we'll throw those in, because I don't know whether these work or not.
I don't either.
If you want to pick a saddle,
that was what I was worried about, because STI shifters would cost a ton to replace.
Yeah, and those are super simple.
Yeah,
they're never going to break on you.
Okay, amazing. All right, so those are good there. So you're in for those.
We'll throw those in, and then pick a saddle out and say $200.
Really?
I got to keep the rack though for the the GT.
Okay, fine, deal.
I don't think you want that for the cross bike, but you know, I've got a destination.
Let's take a look at these saddles. Okay, that one's not gonna work. I'm gonna let the Murray stay with you. The Iron Horse looks like a very nice saddle. Someone, in fact, hand wrote down here, 180 bio. All right, JD, I think I'm gonna take you up for some modern luxury, this one, if you're all right with me. I know this is kind of the nicer of the more modern ones, but I also don't know what you're really gonna do with this. Are you all right with letting this go?
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yep.
Okay, done. 200, fresh. These are crisp.
Wow, right off the printer. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, we've got a journey to do.
Have fun.
Thank you. I think it's the right size. All right, so we're back from JD's, and I think we got a pretty good deal. Looking at this bike, it's got true temper tubes. It's a Fuji Touring Series. I've seen a lot of things that have a lot of potential, but I'm also seeing some things that I'm definitely gonna need to address that I didn't get. Mainly this bar being one thing. When I measured it out, it comes out to a very wide 38 on the top. So really, really narrow bar. Not gonna be good for those narrow ruts. Of course, I'm gonna check it out. The thing that I did get right though, without even measuring it, was the size. It's 54 on the top tube, which is the size bike that I ride. I also know that it's 7-speed Shimano RSX. It's got a triple chainring, but I think that I can take that little chainring off because I'm not gonna need that. I'll be able to run this middle in this larger one without having to do anything and be able to use the crank. I also think I'm gonna have to get some pedals for it. So I'm thinking pedals, bars, probably a chain, maybe a cassette, but I think that's still gonna keep me within my budget. I'm excited to tear this down, dig into what else it may or may not need, and take it from there. I have to say, the seat though, surprisingly very comfortable. It's very comfortable. I'm almost a little bit bummed out that I'm not gonna be able to use this, but this is definitely in a bad state of disrepair from pretty much top to bottom. I've not seen the cable coming through the housing like this in many, many moons. But nothing that a little bit of TLC won't take care of. So far, pretty good. Oh boy. This is the moment that I've been waiting for, to use these clippers to start trimming away all this stuff that's not gonna work any longer for this bike. So take these cables off, get this thing going here. Let's start to see what actually works and doesn't. This bike is pretty, I mean, all things considered, the way that this bike had its life before I got my hands on it, I cannot imagine that it was taken good care of. So it's gonna be interesting to see kind of what still works and what's gonna need to be rebuilt or kind of just driven around, I guess, as a solution to making it all work again. All right, so something interesting a couple interesting bits about this bike. One, it is it's a Fuji Touring Series. I'm gonna put it in the late to mid 90s as its year that it was built. It's got true temper AVR chromoly, so steel. It was built in Taiwan. These bikes did do pretty well. They were a lot of them. They're very famous back in the mid 80s. A bike like this could do a lot more than a traditional bike could. So you can see traditional panniers here to be able to put stuff on, a big pack in the back to be able to go. Presumably, he'd said that he got this from the university auction. So a student was using this just to get around. I'm sure that they attached their backpack to this and then they rode to and from class. You know, things got hectic and they just left it on the side of the road one day. Who knows what happened? Someone called and they needed to go, and that was it for the Fuji Touring Series. But she's gonna have some new life breathed into her after I'm done with it. But we've already run into our first problem here with this front shifter. So see what I can do here to get this cable out of here and see if I can get it to come back to life. All right, so what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to put a screw in this drill and put this in this a little bit to be able to catch just a little bit of the rubber that's in there. And then once this goes in, then I'm gonna pull it out. So I'm gonna like tap it a little bit, get in there, and then give it a yank out and see if I don't have some success with this. That was what just took 20 minutes of my life, was this thing. All right, I just grabbed a 5mm out of the garage, and now I'm gonna start taking off the brake cables and everything else that's on here that needs to come off to be replaced. Was able to get those ferrules that were up on the top here out of these shifters. I've got them soaking in that multi-purpose muck-off spray that I've used. And so now we're gonna see if these shifters actually work, which is gonna sort of change how I put this together. If I'm not able to use the STI shifters, which I'm really hoping that I'm gonna be able to, then I'm gonna end up having to put these, basically these shifters that go down here in the drops here that I can shift like this. So I've got a backup plan in the event that these don't work, but I'm hoping that this like penetrating grease, lubricant is able to kind of get the ratchets in there to start working again. I have a feeling that this bike was left out in the rain just by the rust that's on the bolts and stuff like that. So hopefully a little bit of lubricant in there, get things moving, and we can salvage what's in there. I'm just pulling these through right now, and I'm just gonna see. All right, so the shifters work. I'm really happy, at least the rear one is, so that means that one's good. So I'll just kind of fold this up. Let's check out the front one now. All right, jury's out on the front, but I think that we're there. All right, I have one other thought for this. I'm gonna bring it over, or put some compressed air through this to see if we can clear out anything that might be getting in the way of this shifting perfectly. But again, I don't totally know what's up with this yet, but the rear one shifting like $1 million. The front one, not like $1 million, but you know, it's had a lot of time off. So it's a little sticky here in the front. So yeah, so by spraying it in there, I'm getting out all this old grease, and this stuff is what is actually making this all gunked up and hard to shift, is my thinking anyways at the moment. So I'm just trying to spray that stuff out, see if I can get this to clean itself up a little bit. All right, so I had to put a pair of call them vice grips here on this bolt to get this one to come out because it was stripped. So we're just using this to get this off, but then this last bolt of this should be done. Voila. I actually do think that I can sell this. I might just do it. I might just list it for you all. Can't have a bottle cage on your cyclocross bike. Even though this bike I think sat out in the rain, nothing seized up, which I really like because that makes life a lot easier. I mean, stuff's tight, don't get me wrong. It's not all perfect, but yeah, it's lived an okay life. Of course, outside, but better than I thought. How's that? The Tush Kush Duraflex, I'm sure it has some stories to tell, but I think it's seen its last day. I mean, I hate to do it. I hate to be the one, but it's over. All right, so we've got this here. That's all cleaned up. This is all cleaned up. Hey, we're looking like a bike now. All right, let's see. One thing that I am a little worried about here is just because this is a 170 crank. So let's see here. Yeah, this is gonna be a little low, I think, unfortunately. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, that's gonna be perfect. The moment that we've all been waiting for, the moment that I definitely have been waiting for, we are gonna finally clean this and just check out just how beat up stuff is. I'm gonna fill up my bucket, get this whole thing washed down, and see what's what. All right, just putting this rear derailleur back together now. It definitely needed some TLC. There was a lot of gunk in there. So things are looking good on this front now, all cleaned up. Time to finish getting this all situated with the wheels and then get this thing all dried up and see how she looks clean. All right, well the good news is that this cassette is not looking too chopped up, so I'm definitely not gonna have to replace this, even if I do have to replace the chain, because the chain that doesn't look great. It's got some rust on it, but we'll see. Maybe this was recently replaced before it had gotten left behind, and overall the cassette doesn't look like it's super worn. I mean, how could it have been? It was probably just commuting back and forth to classes and stuff like that. So gonna send this back on. The hub and the wheels cleaned up super nice. So now I've just gotta deal with this situation here on the front ring. Lots of gunk and stuff built up, but not much more to go. All right, so I've just cut my first pieces of housing here to go on this, and now I've got this first one all set, and now I'm just doing the second one here, just putting this cap on the end. I've cut them a little bit long just in case I do decide I'm gonna switch bars down the line here. Everything so far seems to be going good. I'm just getting the caps on here. Now I did take off all of these little ferrules here, and I put grease all over them, so everything is working appropriately and super well. Gonna grab this here, make sure that all the cables out up there, all the cables down. So now I'm just gonna get it in its slot there. All right, so let's see what we can do now with this. Hey! Hey! Oh my goodness, this is sick. Now I know we have some issues here with this front one. You can tell it's not shifting perfectly. So when I go down here, she's not super happy. So I'm gonna need to play with this a little bit, because this could be, as we get down the road with this bike, known issues or something that I want to prevent. But you know, again, I'll say it. I think this bike was only commuted with to and from school and class, and I don't think it ever came out of the tiniest ring, which I have no desire to use. The granny gear, as we call it here in the US. So the middle ring and the upper ring have almost virtually no time put on them. The cassette also looks super mint. So across the board, I had to say, everything shined up really pretty. I'm gonna throw the brake cables on this. I'm gonna get everything rigged up, and I'm gonna ride it around. Okay, so the last thing that I get to do here is just basically get these brake cables on. So on these old school, they're super easy. They just drop right in the front here. So that's what we've got for episode 1. I've got to list this, see if I can get a couple bucks back for it. I've got to get rid of these bars. I got to get something wider because it's going to be way too narrow. Got to get some mountain bike pedals on this, and I've got to get some cyclocross tires. So that's episode 1 in the books. Episode 2, I'm going to show you guys the whole machine, what everything looks like, how it all came out, and what it looks like as a true cyclocross bike. Then in episode 3, I'm actually gonna try to tackle the biggest challenge for the Fuji Touring Series yet. I'm gonna race against some of the best riders from the United States and see if I can keep up and if a $300 cyclocross bike is actually worthy. Let us know down in the comments what you think of this so far, how you think I'm gonna end up. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.